Hello, I'm Dale from Dale's Rock Interviews and Metalliville online magazine, and I am joined by the legend Krusher. How are you?
I'm alive and kicking despite the rumours, Dale.
I never believe rumors.
Hang on 1 second. I'm just going to press this button here. Oh, is that any better regarding?
Yeah,
Is it?
yes, you're looking beautiful.
Well, I, you know, I like to try and do my best, but yeah.
Well, I got this in 2024. I met Crusher, and all I got was this lousy badge.
I met Crusher and all I got was a fucking badge.
That's it, a fucking
Sigh.
badge.
Yes,
So,
that's limited edition.
a
All
limited
gone.
edition.
All gone. Yeah, all my badges are limited editions. Yes.
So that was the first time I met you, was at Stonedead Festival.
24.
Yeah.
Stonedead.
And this
Yeah.
is before I started all this gig stuff and interviews and all that lot. I was just there as a punter, enjoying myself, and I got to meet you, and I got to meet Paul Diano. So
Oh
few
yes,
boxes were ticked.
that was the last time I got to meet Paul,
Yeah,
because he was a good friend, and uh, for because it was a Friday night. Instead, and I had serious day's work to do next day as the MC.
yeah,
I didn't do as much partying as I normally would
yeah.
with. So we had a quick hello, and couldn't find a drug dealer and called it a night. Only joking. But yeah, yeah. But I mean, if you want to come back to Paul, or if you want it now, I can tell you a great story about Paul Diano.
Oh no, I'm all ears. Go on.
Right. Well, this is when Paul was doing his solo career. And if I remember rightly, it was a pub in the East End. It was a fairly big pub, had a proper stage. Um, I can't remember who was in his band or which one of his bands, because he had several, obviously, over a
Yeah,
period of time. But he was absolutely on fine form. And after the gig, I went into the dressing room, and we're all sat there, and there's this Scottish guy who um, uh, is being very, very, very generous with a large bag of cocaine,
all right.
right? Right. Uh, and I mean, I've only tried the stuff once or twice, but I've got another story about cocaine we can come back to as well, involving Keith Richards. But anyway, so yeah, this guy's he's been really generous, and it's a busy dressing room, and you know and I'm very grateful. And we kind of having on off conversation. And then suddenly we're actually sat down and we're actually, we're having a proper conversation. I said, I've got to ask you, mate, but who are you? What do you do? He goes, I'm Les McEwen from the Bay City Rollers. And it was Les McEwen from the Bay City Rollers, who
You
proceeded to tell me um, one of the most tragic stories I've ever heard in the music industry. Seriously, that band, a lot of people, in the metal world probably think Bay City Rollers, right? I'm going to raise my baby bottle of Jack and have a little drink to them, because at one point in the US, the Bay City Rollers were bigger than the Beatles. right?
Wow.
That's a fact. They were bigger than the Beatles. They weren't $1 million business. They were $1 billion business.
Wow.
And basically, all they got out of it was a nice car each, a nice house each, and some pocket money on a
Wow.
regular basis. And they had one of the worst paedophiles managers, whose name I can't remember, sadly, but he was part of the group up in Scotland. I'm not sure. I think somewhere outside Glasgow, and he had a bungalow that was notorious, and judges, MPs, people like I'm sure Savile, Gary Glitter were all descending on this place, um, because it was full of young boys. And the manager not only managed the Bay City Rollers, he groomed them.
Wow.
And that, when I say groomed, I mean
Yeah.
Les McEwen, I don't think ever openly admitted that he'd been sexually abused by the guy, but I think it's pretty much a goddamn fact that he probably, as with all the other members of the band, they were. Sadly, Les McEwen is no longer with us. I think there's two members of the band that are still alive, and they are still in litigation. There's a court case that has been going on for years with them trying to get money from Sony
Wow.
Records, and
That's terrible.
it was, I mean, I'd been ripped off quite a lot, but I could see that. I mean, at that point, Les McEwen, although he was very generous and was great company, I don't think was a pretty well man, because he must have been spending quite a lot of money, probably money that he didn't really have, on a habit that he shouldn't have had. I think he did clean up in the end, but he was a lovely. It was one of those. One of those evenings,
Yeah.
that I can talk about, um, and it's a sad one. That's a sad one, but I can tell you another, a good one about cocaine, right? If you don't mind me talking about drugs.
No, no, it's fine.
It's when I met um, Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones. I've got a mate called Alan Clayton, and he's in a band called the Dirty Strangers. Now, I first met Alan in 1989 when their first album came out, which I think was called just the Dirty Strangers. Um, and I think, I could be wrong here, but I think I kind of just bumped into him in the street. He goes, "Oh, you're Crusher, aren't you?" I had a radio show at the time on the
Yeah.
BBC. I'll
Yeah.
have you know, right? It was either Crusher's Monday Metal Mayhem. No, it would have been Crusher's Sunday Metal Mayhem at that time.
Right.
And he was, I'm in a band, right? Can we get on your? And I said, well, explain. He goes, well, the album's just come out, and we've got Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood playing on it. I was like, right,
Wow.
you've got an interview, right? You've got an interview. Right? And yeah, he came on, we did the interview, and it turns out that the Dirty Strangers were like one of the a band that, when the Stones were in London having a party or whatever, they would hire the Dirty Strangers as like the in-house band, so that people could get up and sing or do whatever, and they do their own set as well. But for years, and I'm not joking, this was years, Alan would phone me up or I'd bump into him. We did a very good interview for BBC actually, but I would bump into him and he'd go, "We're doing a gig, right? Keith Richards coming." And I'm like, "Wait, I'll be there. I'll be there, right?" And these weren't big, these were like small venues. They occasionally played like the Marquee and stuff like that, but it wasn't, Hammersmith Odeons or anything like that. And you know the story of like the boy who cried wolf, where do you know that
Yeah,
story?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, this is like the man who cried Keith Richards, right? Because I'd always see him, or he'd phone me and say, "Oh, Keith's coming down, you must come down." And I'd go. And this went on for years and 15 years. Anyway, one day I'm in the Kerrang, it's an evening actually, and I'm in the Kerrang office. This is when I was the art director of Kerrang. And I'm on my own. I'm the only person in the office. And Jeff Barton, Jeff Spineless Barton, the editor's phone rings, right? And I thought, oh, I'll have a bit of fun with this, whoever it is. Hello, yes. And immediately goes, is Crusher there? And I said, yeah, this is Crusher talking. It's Alan. Alan from the Dirty Strangers. We're playing tonight at the so and so, Great Portland Street, the nearest tube station, and Keith's going to be here. And it's probably about 6 o'clock at night. And I think, oh, fuck it. I've done everything I've got to do here. Yeah, okay. I'll see you later. Put the phone down. Get on the tube. And I suppose I get over to Great Portland Street, which is a nice area of fucking London, to be quite honest. And I think it was called the Grapes. It was a lovely pub. But you had to go down some very steep stairs into the cellar where the gig was, right?
yeah.
And going down the stairs, I can see, okay, this is a proper place. They've got a proper stage. I can see the equipment set up. But as I'm going down, I can look around. I'm looking around and there's no one. There's okay, fair enough. It's probably about 6:15, getting on to 7 o'clock in the
Yeah.
evening. Us 6:45, getting on to 7 o'clock in the evening, and and then I see Alan stood at the bar, right, and I can see the barman behind him, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Walking across, and Alan goes, "Oh, you're fucking late, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Fucking late for what?" And he goes, pointing into the corner, the very dark corner of the pub, and sat in the corner is not only Keith Richards, but Ronnie Wood,
Wow.
right? Seriously. So I'm in a pub with Alan, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood, and a barman, right? And Keith Richards gets up, swaggers like Keith Richards does towards the bar. Alan introduces me, and I thought, oh, when Alan, he's going to say, oh, this is Crusher. And I'm thinking Keith Richards going, Crusher, what the fuck's that? He didn't bat an eyelid. Pleased to meet you, mate. What are you drinking? Whatever you're having, please. Which, of course, was a large Jack Daniels and Coke. And then Alan and Keith are talking, and then blah, blah, blah. And then Keith goes to Alan, do you fancy a toot? Uh, and he looks at me, and and I'm like, yeah, yeah, I'd love to have a two. So we go into this dressing room, which actually was a fucking cleaning cupboard. I think, it had brooms and cleaning equipment. Anyway, it's the tiniest little room. And Keith Richards goes, he puts his arm behind his back and you just hear this, and he pulls out a dagger, and I'm not joking. The blade on it was about that long, right? It's made of solid silver. He showed me the actual the handle, which was this amazing naked woman. It was made by a company, a jewelry company called Crazy Pig, who
Yeah.
made. This is where I get. This is my Keith Richards ring,
Oh,
right?
yeah. Yeah.
One of only 300. I think there's 365, one for each day of the year. This is number 363. But anyway, he makes jewelry for Keith Richards, and he pulls out this bloody dagger, and then he pulls out it's like a little bottle about this size, right? But it's dark blue, really dark blue. Um, undoes the top, puts his dagger in, pulls out, it's got a little mountain of cocaine on the end, right? And he points it towards me, and I'm like a greyhound out of a trap, straight on it. And literally, as I'm doing, I hear him go, "Have you ever had 100% pharmaceutical cocaine before?" And I'm like, "No, but I have now." And it was amazing. It was like rocket fuel. And I was never, in all honesty, I used to smoke a lot of dope and I used to take a bit of speed with Motorhead in the 70s. But basically, cocaine, I just thought I never quite got it because it cost quite a bit, lasts for fuck all, makes you gab off for about 10 minutes. And then, yeah, what was that about? This
Yeah.
stuff, right, was on a fucking different fucking level, right? I'm like, right, now I understand. And, I actually stopped buying cocaine after that, and would only ever have if someone offered me a line, I'd
Yeah.
say, "Yeah, I'll have it," snort it, and say, "That's shit." And yeah, I mean, the night ended up right. There was not only Keith Richards and Ronnie Wood there. There was Keith Richards' ex-girlfriend, partner Anita Pallenberg, the film actress, film star,
Yeah.
well, a legend. Their son Marlon, who I imagine was in his 20s, and Keith Richards' dad, Bert, right? Who I spent quite a lot of time with, talking to Bert, buying him a few. He was on brandy, rum and brandy, yeah, and talking about cricket because I said, what, what do you do? I said, "Oh, Keith, he's got me looking after his apartment in New York, but I can't get the cricket on his TV." And it was the most amazing night. I mean, it really was the most amazing night.
Yeah.
And so let's get back to the beginning of the interview. Right?
Right. Well, you've mentioned before we started the interview the lineup I've got behind me. For
Yeah,
those, yeah, for those that don't know, you designed the
I,
cover work for Live After Death.
right. I didn't do the painting,
You didn't do the
right?
painting, that's Derek
I
Riggs.
didn't do the painting. That's Derek Riggs.
Yeah.
But you see the words Iron Maiden. I decided they were going to be that big, going across, and that color, and the little bit of lightning would go in the M and out of the A or whatever,
Yeah.
and the life after death would be that. But basically, it's a double album, right? It's a gatefold.
Yeah.
And I spent, I think it was about 3 or 4 days in Los Angeles at the invitation of Iron Maiden's manager Rod Smallwood. Bloody great, Crusher, bloody great. It's going to be. And he'd bought what was Jimmy Cagney. I don't know if you know who Jimmy Cagney, the film star from the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
30s.
No, James Cagney. Yeah. Jimmy Cagney. Yeah.
He's bought Jimmy Cagney's old house. And I was in Jimmy Cagney's daughter's bedroom, which still had all the original furniture. So I'm lying on a four-poster bed, right, having to go through thousands of transparencies, putting them into, one of those little circular
Yeah. Yeah.
projectors, sitting there going, "That's a good one. That's a shit one. That's a good one." For about three, there were thousands, and they were all Ross Halfin, or as I affectionately know him as Gross Halfwits, photographs. Um, and I chose this. I don't know how many there are on the inner sleeve, but I chose every one of those photographs. And I designed the way the
Yeah.
photos were laid out. On the inner sleeve, on each side of the inner sleeve, there's 55 full color different pictures of the band. So that's
Yeah,
100 pictures, along with, I think it's one, two, three, I think it's an 8 page pamphlet with all the
yeah.
tour dates and information. Yeah. And I designed all of that. And it's just had its 40th anniversary.
Well, that's what that is there behind. That's the full. I've got the
Is
original
that the
down
book?
there, but that's the 40th anniversary one
Did
there.
you get your free Iron Maiden program with it? The
It's
power.
inside it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've not took it out, but it's inside it. Yeah,
I designed that as well.
yeah.
I
I have got a couple of your tour programs, which I was going to have displayed behind me, but like an
don't
idiot, about a month ago, we put stuff in the loft because we're trying to
uh,
sort stuff out,
don't
and
worry.
it's.
Well, that's
But I
a
have,
lovely display. It's a
yeah,
lovely display. Don't you worry.
and that there is Ozzy Osbourne, Bark
That's
at the
Bark
Moon.
of the Moon. And I can tell you a story because that's not the album, is it? That's a
No,
single.
that's a single. Whoops, I've just
Yes.
break
And you
things.
see that the logo on that, right? I had made an agreement with Sharon that they could only use the original logo I did for the album cover, for the
Yeah,
actual word, G. Osborne and Bark at the Moon, on the album sleeve. The advertising for, well, obviously for worldwide, I had to,
yeah,
but also only for the UK tour, right? That's all they could use that logo on. And
yeah,
she reluctantly, after having a hairy baby and screaming at me, uh, agreed, and I shook her hoof, and that was it. A gentleman and Satan's agreement.
brilliant.
Uh,
Yeah,
but what I had done, I had left a photocopy of another version of the logo with with her, right? Um, which we hadn't discussed. I just thought had been rejected, and
yeah.
she used it on that,
Oh,
which
right.
which I got paid fuck all. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to.
Well, the reason why I've got this one here,
Yeah,
30 D's Done Dirt Cheap, it's got a particular song on it about big balls because you did the big ball AC/DC convention
I did
DJing.
two in
You did too.
Wrexham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to talk about that. Big balls for another reason. You're 11 years clear of prostate cancer.
I am not 11. I am. Let me think. What are we now? 2016. I think I'm coming up for 2 years. Right? It was. I think it was. What was the year after COVID? No, it was during COVID.
During
That
COVID. All right,
I
I must have got it wrong then. It's on your website. I'm sure it said
don't,
11, but it's fine.
don't worry. But yeah, I had prostate cancer, and it was during COVID, uh, and because I said to them, what happens if, or it might have been just after COVID. I said, what happens if someone comes in? Oh, they said, oh, don't worry, we've got a
Yeah,
special that we take you to, blah blah blah. But yeah, I was one of the lucky ones because I had 37 sessions of radiotherapy along with hormone injections every 3 months. And it wasn't the radiotherapy that got me, it was the hormone
yeah,
injections. They really were a bastard. But I could see because it's every day. apart from weekends, you get weekends off, but you're going in on a daily basis to have the radiotherapy. And I could see people around me um, that it was taking its toll on badly. And I flew through the radiotherapy. I must have been very lucky. Um, and I wasn't drinking at the time, so I'm not going to say that was why. But because I do actually think if I every time I stop drinking for a while, I'll always get a cold or something.
So it's pickling you.
Yeah, it definitely I'm definitely pickled, that's for sure. But yes, but I'm very sad to see that Ginger has just been
Yes.
diagnosed with cancer, and I'm really sad that he's not going to accept treatment for it.
Yeah.
Um, because I had a friend called Steve Golby. I don't know if you've heard of Steve Golby,
No.
but he does it's a website called Metal Talk. He was quite a character. He managed me for a little while, but he had cancer and he decided he was going to take an alternative therapy, which basically meant that he was going to become Bob Marley and smoke loads of dope because apparently this would cure it. And sadly, it didn't, and it broke my heart to see,
Yeah.
knowing full well that if he'd had treatment, he would quite probably still be still with us.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say Bob Marley also died of cancer, so obviously smoking loads of dope didn't really help him either.
No, but you know what? His was a foot injury, wasn't it? He was from playing football, and
Yeah.
he refused his being refereed. He refused to let them operate on on the injury, which then led to the cancer.
Right. I didn't
So,
know that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Is that a foot injury? That's what killed. Is it Jack Daniels when he kicked his safe and he broke his toe and he died from that or something daft like that?
Oh,
Anyway.
Jack Daniels,
Yeah.
the
There's
Jack
some.
Daniels.
Yeah. The drink maker. I'm sure he kicked his safe and broke his toe and he died from the broken toe.
Brilliant,
Probably couldn't
brilliant.
get to his small change in the safe and got a bit
Right,
cross.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So you started way back in the 70s. I don't want to hint at your age, but you're a little
No,
bit
no,
older than
no.
me.
I'm very proud. I mean, I will be 72 next year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
excellent.
70. I started designing as a graphic designer in 75, 76, and I worked for the South East London and Kentish Mercury after being failed by Goldsmiths College, having done a 3-year fine art Bachelor of Arts degree there. But we don't go into that shit. And the my girlfriend at the time, her father, who was a very interesting character, uh, very South London as well, but had money,
Yeah,
um, was involved. His proper job was with Total Oil, and I never quite understood what his proper job with Total. But he was very involved in the boxing world, right?
yeah,
And I hated boxing, but we got we would be taken to boxing matches, and I'm talking about in the 70s, the big ones at Wembley, right? I can't remember John Conte or whatever, right? And we'd be like either first or second row, right?
yeah,
Right up close. And that's when I became a, not a boxing fan, but incredibly impressed
yeah,
by the brutality. And when you're that close and you actually hear when they hit a body shot,
yeah,
how hard and how loud it is. And I'm just thinking, well, if someone had just hit me like that, I'd be out, I'd be gone. And they just stand up and go through it.
yeah.
Anyway, he actually set me up as a freelance designer and that all kind of he got me an office in Clapham. I think it was Clapham High Street. He got me some jobs doing first jobs with Total Oil, so I could build up a portfolio. But the idea was like, I'm going to pay your rent for so much, so long, then you're out getting your own work, right? And you're paying. And I was like, yeah, great, brilliant, fantastic, which I did. I did, and I did manage to start go getting stuff in the music industry. But let me to cut a long story short, that relationship with Cheryl was her name. Beautiful, lovely, lovely lady. Um, I go round to their place one evening for dinner, and Don goes, right, we're going down the pub first for a pint before we have din-dins. I don't know, right, fine, that sounds great. So off we go to the pub. He buys me a pint. We sit down, and he goes, and remember, this is before that we have now. We've got to go back to the house to sit down around the table and have a meal.
Yeah.
Right, that's right. Cheryl, we're sending Cheryl to America for 3 months, right? And you're very, very welcome to go with her, but you'll be going in a wheelchair. Right? Yeah,
Right.
yeah, right. And I was like, okay, uh, uh, I'm guessing this is the end of this relationship. And yeah, then we had to go back to the house, sit round the table, and when I finally got to speak to Cheryl, one on one, she said, "Oh, don't worry, it's all." But basically, that was the beginning of the end of that particular relationship. But yeah,
Wow.
he got me going, and the first stuff I did was in '77. It was for an independent label called The Label, and they had a punk band called Eater, whose big selling point was that their drummer was 12 years old and called Degenerate. And yeah, I that was my first single. It was an EP, a live
Yeah.
EP, Get Your Yo-Yos Out, and that
Do
was
you
the
still
start.
have it?
I do still have it. I have it behind me somewhere, actually. Hang on one second. Hang on one second. Oh, of course. I've got everything. I'm a hoarder. Yeah, there we go.
I'd love to delve into that record collection behind you.
I bet you would. Here we go. It came out in three different colors, right? There's the green,
Okay.
there's the red, and there's the blue. And it
Wow.
also came out on red vinyl. Right now, uh, and on the back, it's got artwork, Steve Joule. I wasn't Crusher back then, and it's a limited edition. Now, you know how you have when you design things, you nowadays you go on your computer, you have a template that
Yeah.
you just work in. I didn't have this was, we didn't have computers back then. So I just basically took a single cover apart, did all the measurements, and did what I thought was the correct stuff to do the cover, right? Which I did.
Yeah.
Uh, but uh, most covers, right? The single either comes out of the top, right,
Mhm.
or out of the right.
Yeah.
Mine comes out of the left,
Okay.
right? And they were like, why does it come out of the left? I said, because it's art. That's why. But yeah, that was my first cover, and then I went on to do the next one was for this was actually produced by a guy called Dave Goodman, right? And the second single cover I did was for Dave Goodman and Friends, right?
Yeah.
It's the cover. It's called Justifiable Homicide. And on this one, right, I think this is one that I no, this was a genuine cover, or I might have stuck it together. I don't know. But you've got on the back, I don't know if you can see, it says guitars,
Yeah.
right? Steve Jones
Yes.
and Paul Cook drums,
Yeah.
right? That's Steve Jones and Paul Cook from the Sex Pistols, because Dave Goodman was the original producer of the Sex Pistols,
Oh,
uh, right? But we had to take the names off when it was actually done. So this is worth a lot of money because
yeah.
it's got the names on. But yeah, it just said guitars, drums, white space, white space. But there's a couple of other people on here. There's uh, I think Ben Briley. They were all from punk bands, right? And Dave Goodman, right? He was sadly he's no longer with us. But I mean, if I could be wrong, I could be right, but I believe he was the guy who taught Sid Vicious how to play bass as
Right.
well.
Okay.
But yeah, he's
I,
very important part of the Sex Pistols,
yeah.
and
I
that's
thought when it comes to Sid Vicious, he was just told to look pretty in the corner and look edgy.
yeah, well, no, they did try. They did try to teach him to pluck the strings of death.
But back then, when you started all this, to where you are now, you wouldn't even dreamt of this, surely.
Sorry.
You wouldn't even dreamt of how your career has gone from how
No,
you started.
no, God, absolutely not. I mean, now that I look back on it and people say, oh, write a book, write a book. Dad, if I showed you, I'm a hoarder,
Yeah,
right? If I showed you all of the stuff that I've got, it wouldn't be a book, it would be a volumes
yeah.
book.
Volume one, volume two.
Yeah, because I've got that much stuff. I can
Because you have done a
actually,
Kindle book, haven't you? You did a Kindle book
I
from
how,
Ozfest.
whoa, wait, I haven't just
Yeah,
hang on.
after forever, the inside story of the Black Sabbath's greatest tour.
Are
Simple
you,
title.
are you talking about this magnificent?
Look at that.
Look at the size of that, missus. 1.77 kilograms, right? I
Good
thought it was
grief.
1.75. There's over 600 pages. There's
And you
over
wrote that?
I wrote this on the road. There's
Bloody
over
hell.
there's over 1,000 full color pictures, some of them of an adult nature.
Yeah,
Um, um, and there's because I don't know why women over there. There's a great one. There's a great picture because I used to go and hang out with. There's a great picture of Ozzy, right?
oh
with his
yes.
CD, with his CD collection, right? And I'll tell you what that CD collection is he's got there. It's the Beatles, Sergeant Pepper's, another Beatles one, Pink Floyd, the Monkeys, and another Beatle, and a Led Zeppelin. No, it's
Yeah.
not Led Zeppelin. But I used to go into the dressing room. Yeah, there's 80,000 words. Sadly, the lawyers took the best bits out, but there's over 1,000 full color pictures. It's only available at the moment on Amazon, and
Yeah.
Amazon bastards are charging £79.99 for
Ooh.
it. Wait for it, of which I make £11 and two pence, right? And if I want to, as I am the publisher of it, I can buy printed copies of off Amazon and basically they cost me just under £38 each.
Bloody hell.
I can buy it. Let's just say it's 40 quid. I can
Yeah.
buy it for 40 quid, and then I could sell it for 60 quid, right? And I'm making a bit more than I'm making, and knocking 20 quid off what fucking Amazon are making.
Well, if you
But it's
buy it,
a great book. It's a
yeah,
great book.
if you buy a copy off Amazon and sign it for me, I'll buy it off you for 70 quid.
Well, you see, we'll discuss this. Uh, I I might have if I've got a copy still. I'm not even going to go into this because that was I will actually, but I don't want to spend fucking time talking about bollocks. But this is bollocks. I when I thought right 70 quid, no 80 quid, 80 quid, right? I can buy them for let's say 38 quid, right?
Yeah,
It was £37, fucking something like that. Right. What I'll do is I'll put a thing on Facebook and say, uh, if you give me a deposit, right, I'm going to put an order in. Um, I will sign them. I will personally sign them to each and every one of you puts an order in. uh, and and post them, and I will do all of that for 60 quid. Right, that was the deal. I will do it for 60 quid, thinking I'd get 40 or 50 people saying they want. I got over 200, and God knows how many people.
yeah,
Uh, at which point, when I'd got to about 100. Well, no, I think when I got to about 200, I put in an order to Amazon, right? Which cost me thousands, right? It was like I think it was for about 180,
yeah.
right? Finished books. Um, and it was a fuck up from start to finish, right? The first lot arrived and there was 120, right? Uh, and fortunately, some of the boxes look really damaged, but the books inside had survived without damage. Um, and then it just came in dribs and drabs to the point where there was 36 books missing from the order, right?
Wow.
And I was that's the least of the problems. That's the least of the fucking problems, right? Then I'm signing them, and I don't just do, Crusher. I do, thanks for your support,
Yeah, yeah,
rock
yeah.
Crusher. And my signature Crusher is also, it's a fucking work of art. I'm a fucking artist, for fuck's sake. And so that takes time. Then I had decided that, what do they call them? Those bubble bags,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plastic,
The- Yeah,
there's actually paper with bubble wrap inside,
yeah.
right? I could get some of those. It they fitted in perfectly, right? So then you put those in, you close it, you write the address on. As I say, they weigh 1.77. I did have like these four boxes from the post office that I could get six in at a time. So I could take 24 down to the post office. And I was saying, the guy there was brilliant. Said, "What's the best way?" I said, tracked and signed for. He goes, "No, just tracked, first class tracked, right? You leave that 24 with me." And I explained the whole thing. I've got 120 or, to go. He says, "Right, leave them with me. Bring your next 24 tomorrow. I'll give you the receipts for today. You pay for today's, right? I'll give you the receipt." And that's how we did it. And that in itself was a nightmare because one, I've got to try and park outside the post office in Tewkesbury, which that I every day it was an illegal parking. I'm just, but it just turned into a nightmare.
Yeah.
And even worse, right? I'm telling people, oh, you're going to save £60, £20 because it's only 60 quid, right? Um, and Amazon reduced the book to £43 something or other. So I'm thinking everybody out there is thinking, what a fucking wanker.
Yeah.
He's charging us £60.
But your
Then,
book's signed, so it makes it worth it.
well, and uh, it was selling. That's the
Yeah.
thing. That's why they reduced it. Um, it's never as soon as it stops selling, back up to 79.9,
Yeah.
99. It's never going to. I think I've sold two this
Yeah.
month, and I sold three last month. But
Yeah.
yeah, but anybody watching this, it's a fabulous birthday present, a fabulous Christmas present, and a fabulous anniversary present. And I honestly couldn't recommend it highly enough. And if you do buy one and you message me, what I will do is actually, no, this is what you could do. Buy it from Amazon, and I will send you a sticker that you can stick in the page, and it will say, "To Dale, thank you for your support. Rock hard, rock heavy, rock animal." How's
Exactly.
that?
Or I could just take it to Stonedead and get you to sign it. Are you at Stonedead this year?
I am at Stonedead this year. Yes, again, I'm at Stonedead. Looking forward to it, and will be doing the signing tent. So yes, you can
Because
put.
I've got this, because 2024 was my
Oh,
partner's daughter's first ever festival, and it was Stonedead. And I said,
well,
I'm interviewing Krusher, and she says, who's Krusher? I said, the sweary man on stage. Oh, him. So we've got this little montage from her first Stonedead, and I do believe there you are.
that is me. The
That is you
swearing man.
with
Yeah,
me and Jasmine.
Jasmine. Whoa,
So they
Jasmine. And the swearing man. Excellent.
so you're the
Uh,
swear man because she's only young, is Jasmine.
well,
Um,
she,
she's
she,
she's a bit older now. She's how old?
but yeah, how old
She's
was she
13.
then?
She was 11 then. She's 13 now.
Because I got a lot. Well, I didn't get a lot of complaints, but some fucking idiots decided that they were going to put onto the Stonedead Festival site. Oh, it's disgraceful. This is a family festival. Blah 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 blah. It's not a family festival. It's a fucking rock festival, and
Exactly.
don't expect someone to say fuck on that stage. And it's
Yeah.
not, if I'm not saying it, the fucking bands will be fucking saying it. That's for
Yeah.
fucking sure.
Well,
Anyway, there was this one guy, I can't remember his name, right? And we had a little bit of, going backwards and forwards. And then I messaged him, privately messaged him, right? And I ended up getting him in for free the next year. We met up, right? We shook hands, but he inspired me to do not just a t-shirt. I did a t-shirt, I did a patch, and I did a badge. And I also did a guitar pick, but that didn't have the word fuck on it. But the patch, the badge, and the guitar pick was like a little package for a fiver, right?
yeah.
The patches that you sew on.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the t-shirt was. Anyway, and it said, Crusher says fuck an awful lot. Sigh. Right. 8,000 quid. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So um when she went to the festival, we warned her. There's going to be people that's going to swear. I don't mind. It's fine. You're going to have some very funny smells when you're walking around as well.
It's
You know,
not my
we
art.
Yeah, you're at a rock concert, you're at a rock festival, it's going to happen. And if any family takes their little darlings and don't expect that, then why are they taking their little darlings?
Exactly. And do you know what? There's one family, the McHales, right? I can't remember how Charlotte, right? I think she was 9 or 10 last time. Anyway, Charlotte, right? She'd been warned and she understands. And her dad actually, well, because I come out and like, give me an F, give me a U, give me, he actually does allow her to join in, but
Yeah,
explain that's the only time, right? You're
yeah,
allowed to say that. And she's like, yeah, I'm fine. Anyway, they've become very good friends, that family. And Charlotte came up. She sent me this T-shirt, and it's a picture of the two of us, and she's wearing the Crusher says "fuck" a lot T-shirt. This is at Stonedead, right?
yeah,
It's on the front, and on the back, it's got Fuck, but not going across, going down. Fuck, and
yeah.
it says Friends United. Oh God, I, I fucked that story up, haven't I? It's Friends United completely. So it's a lovely, lovely statement, right?
Yeah,
It, and it's like there's no offense in it whatsoever.
yeah.
Friends United. Oh,
It'll come to you towards the end of the interview. It'll
well,
be
I hope
fine.
so. But it was brilliant. But wait for it. I got Charlotte to come up. She's wearing her T-shirt, and I went, and she doesn't even know. She just thinks she's coming up the side of the stage to watch, right? And I get her on, and I said, this little lady's come up with this, and we turn around, and but then started getting messages saying that was a bit creepy, mate, and it's like, oh, fuck's sake. Now they think I'm fucking Jimmy Savile, and it's like, no, no, it's just trying to explain. It's a word. It's a
Yeah,
fucking word.
exactly.
And sticks and stones, all that bollocks.
Yeah.
But
Well, Five
words
Finger Death Punch, they get, the singer gets the kids up on stage, and because he's a family man, and he gets them all to swear. He says, "You've got my permission to stick your middle finger up," and he gets all the kids to swear,
brilliant.
and which I think is fantastic. But how the hell do you go from doing art and cover art to becoming on the radio and on the TV?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. It was when I was at Kerrang, and I think Dante Benuto, who was the assistant editor, uh, was doing. Uh, it was a TV show called Power Hour, but because he was so busy, uh, he said, "Do you fancy stepping in and doing a couple for me?" And that's how it started with the TV. I did a few Power Hours, which then went on to Raw Power, and then that went on to Noisy Mothers, right? And all of it has just been in the right place at the right time. And I think because I had the TV show, which went out on ITV, I mean,
Yeah,
it was the only rock show on terrestrial TV, although it went out at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night. Um, Someone at the BBC had got wind of it, and they were starting. It was called Greater London Radio, and that's what it was. It was just for the Greater London area, but it was a BBC
yeah,
radio station. And they had the likes of Tommy Van. I can't remember who the two fuckers were who were doing the breakfast show. They went on to big leagues. Chris Evans. Chris
Oh yeah, yeah,
Evans
yeah.
was my producer. He was
All right.
actually my first producer on there. They had Emma Freud, uh, you know, um, Elvis Costello's wife. I can't remember what her name was. Uh,
Mrs. Costello.
Mrs. Costello, that's right. They were, and it was a great station. Right? It was a great station, and I, I, I don't know if I do regret it, but I had been very inspired by Wolfman Jack in the what was it? Was it Greece or whatever?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wolfman Jack coming here. So I decided I was going. Hey, this is the Crush coming to you live between your neck, steaming eyes and ears. Don't touch blah blah blah. So I did this Crusher voice, right? Um, and I remember interviewing David Cover. It was a pre-record with Coverdale, and I mean, he speaks very posh, but
Yes.
he's northern lad who used to speak with a very northern accent, right? And after we finished the interview, and we're talking like this, he goes, "Why'd you put on that silly accent?" I had to stop myself. I had to stop myself saying the same reason you do, mate.
Yeah. Because you once you start with a silly accent, you've got to carry it on and for how
Well,
long you're going to be on the radio
it,
for.
do you know what? Funnily enough, I think it was 88. I think I lasted from 88 to 91. Uh, and towards the end, I am talking more like this, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of developed. And at the end, it's a bloody great radio show, except the fucking wanker program controller, a guy called Trevor Dan, or we also call him Clever Trevor, who was a very important part of Live Aid, believe it or not. Um, Anyway, he was a program controller, and he calls me into his office one day, and I need a drink for this. And he goes, Crusher, I've had a letter from Phonogram Records saying that you're not playing the new Def Leppard album. And I'm like, whoa, hold your fucking horses there, Clever Trevor. I think it was Adrenalize. That was the one
Oh
after
yeah.
Hysteria. Right. I said, I played a track the week before the album came out, and I played a track the week the album was actually out. And you know full well that my radio show is 80% uh, punters' requests, right? The listeners' requests, that's what makes the fucking show, right? And the other 20% is new shit, right? Some of it is good, some of it is bad. And I can absolutely assure you that since those 2 weeks I played Def Leppard's fucking Adrenalize or whatever the fuck it's called, we have not had one request to play another fucking track from it. And if you're telling me that fucking Phonogram Records or any fucking record company can write to you and tell me what to play on my radio show, you can stick your job up your fucking arse. And he
Yeah.
did. And he's been walking funny ever since. Uh, and he
See,
fired and he fired me on the spot.
well, I don't know whether you've had this with you because you've done interviews. You've done many interviews. I've only been doing interviews for 7 months. I've only been doing gig reviews for a year, and I think I'm not doing too bad so far. But I find that the more famous they are, the less excited they are to talk about their music. But the grassroots bands, and you interview them, they're so super excited about telling you everything that they're doing.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. Uh, but in some ways, uh, now that can work to your advantage because if you can get into a conversation with a band or a band member and start to talk about things that aren't you will get. I used to do that quite a lot. We would just go, it would just become a conversation, which is
Yeah.
almost like what we're having now,
Yeah, this is what
right?
I like to do on interviews is
Yeah,
keep it
yeah.
rolling
It's,
like
it's a
this.
fucking conversation, and you will get a lot more interesting stuff out of them, apart
Yeah,
from them fucking reading their press release. Um,
exactly. Well,
uh,
I did Alien Ant Farm yesterday, and I always ask them at the end of the
are they
interviews,
still
like,
going?
yeah, they've got new music coming out.
Fuck me.
So, yeah. So I always ask a question from my partner, Tracy, and you'll get the same question later. And
Right.
how he opened up about his woodwork, and then he will show me around his house at his joinery that he's done and things like that. And I love that. I love that personal approach instead of just talking about the music. They're talking about what interests them, and you can see them visibly
Exactly.
excited.
What makes up their life? What
Yeah,
what they are? Yes, they are musicians. Successful musicians, whatever. But they have personality and character, which sometimes it takes a lot to get it out of them. But
yeah,
if you can, it's I that's what I always used to just because Mike, especially with Greater London Radio, I mean, God, how we got away with it, I will never know because I was drinking profusely during the show. I remember Chris Robinson from the Black Crows coming in, and I still had my Jack Russell Bullseye, right? He was about 17 years old, right?
bloody hell.
He just used to run around the studio, right, and I'd have a half a dozen cans of lager, or maybe a little bottle of Jack, um, and Chris comes in, and I said, "You all right with dogs?" And he's like, is he going to bite me? Hey man, is he going to bite me? I said, "He's got no fucking teeth. He's 17 years fucking old, for fuck's sake." He goes, I'm gonna need I'm gonna need to smoke a joint, man. Let's go outside. So we go outside, we smoke this fucking joint that Chris Robinson's rolled, and then we go, and this is live. This is going out, where we start the interview, and this is going out live. And I swear to God, I'm just thinking, this is slow motion. I'm in fucking slow motion. And you see Chrissy still looking at the dog, it's like, but we ended up having a great, and I'd love to meet Chris again because, it's things like that. I remember Dave Lee Roth. Dave Lee Roth was one of my first, and of course, Dave Lee Roth is a great interview, but it's all rehearsed. Coming to you
Yeah,
live between your steaming eyes and ears. Don't touch the vertical, don't touch horizontal, because we're on all the stations, Crusher. And that's the TV, and this is the radio. And
yeah,
I steal all his fucking lines, to be quite honest. He got me mountain climbing, but that's another story altogether. And I hated it.
yeah.
Um, uh,
I've got that Dave Lee Roth album down there when he's on the mountain. Um,
he's you know that he is a probably a top 10 mountain climber.
yeah,
He is. He's professional. And he was telling me, I remember this is how he got me. He persuaded me to go down to somewhere in Tunbridge Wells, right, where he was going to climb a bit. Where it's only about it's about a half mile long piece of of rock, which is probably only about 40, 50 feet tall. But at one end, it's what they call the baby end, which is just sheer. You know, you're putting your fingernails on like a millimeter of rock
yeah,
and pulling yourself up. And that's the baby stuff. And whilst David Lee Roth is like crawling like Spider-Man underneath something that's coming out.
yeah,
Anyway, he persuaded me to do this. But he was telling me that his great ambition was to do a glacier climb,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
But he can't get the insurance. Well, he could. I think I think he probably could still do it because he still looks fit as fuck.
yeah.
Uh, that was his big ambition. He wanted to do a glacier climb, and no one would give him the insurance for it.
So
Yeah.
why haven't you done an album? Because you did music with Wurzel, Johnny Violent, and Crusher Evil as Folk. So it was W.
WVKE,
Yeah,
Wurzel and Crusher, evil as fuck.
yeah.
Yeah,
So why haven't you released that on vinyl?
it is on vinyl.
It is on vinyl. I couldn't find it.
Well, you won't. Pardon me. Hang on 1 second. Can I find it? Probably not. It's
Uh,
there. It's behind me. It's behind. No, it's not. It's
Oh no, it's
behind
not.
me. Hang on. Keep talking. Keep talking. Right. Uh, where the fuck is it?
I need to come down and look through your records.
Yeah, you're very welcome any day, mate. But nah, it's it's a 12. It is a it's a 12-inch single, right? That we did. Oh, I can't believe I can't find it. Oh no, hang on. No, sorry, no, I can't. But yeah, it came out right. It was a 12. Oh God, this again. This is a story and a fucking half. Right, Wurzel. At, at the time, I'd got into. I was listening to hardcore. What I called hardcore nosebleed techno, right?
Oh right,
It's
excellent.
brutal.
Yeah,
Fuck. I mean, it's people are like, what the fuck? You put Slayer on, you know what I mean?
yeah. I
People,
like dance music. I love dance music. So yeah,
someone introduced me or gave me a copy of an album by what I thought was a band called Ultraviolence, right? And it's called I Am Destructor.
yeah,
I loved everything about it. I loved the cover. I loved the artwork, the name Ultraviolence. Because the Ultraviolence, that's, I mean, me doing droogies, boozers, strumpets. I mean, droogies is, it's all stolen from Clockwork Orange, as is
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Ultraviolence.
yeah, yeah,
And I put this album on, and it was one of those, like, it happens so rarely now with me where I'll put an album on, and if it hasn't got me within the 20 seconds, 30 seconds, it's like, fuck, get it.
yeah,
This was like, what, what, what the fuck? It was just like, and there's a track on it called Hardcore Motherfucker, right? Which I didn't realize that Ultraviolence was actually just a one-man show, a guy called Johnny Violent. Um, and he basically most of the album in his fucking bedroom. Right? This is what, 95, 94,
yeah,
95, way before people were fucking doing shit in their bedrooms, you know? Um, and the hardcore motherfucker, it's about an 8 minute, 9 minute track, and it's got this woman going, hardcore motherfucker, hardcore motherfucker. And he was trying to get Joan Collins to actually do the voiceover. He couldn't
all
get
right.
her, but he got a best fucking sound alike, I tell you. But I mean, when I'm doing the hardcore, fuck me, believe me, it fucking just goes off, and it's like, Jesus Christ, this is brutal. It's like when your first time you hear fucking Slayers Rain in Blood,
Yeah,
it's fuck yeah. And so I said, I've got to meet this guy. I've got to meet him. And he worked. He was on earache, and I had plenty of friends on earache, and I got to meet him. And he was living in Nottingham with his dad, who was a theologian. Is that the right word? Someone who studies religion,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Yeah. Uh, and he's just like the nicest guy in the world. It's like when I fucking first met Motorhead. In '78, I've got to go in with this first program, and the band's going to be there, and I'm just thinking, oh, Hell's Angels, just fucking, leather, fucking, it's
yeah,
gonna be, and they were just like sweethearts.
yeah.
This is
And,
great, yeah.
and Lemmy
And,
was, weren't he? He was supposed to be the nicest man.
and Phil, back then, Bullseye, my Jack Russell, was a puppy that I carried round in one of these, one of these bags, and
Yeah,
his
yeah,
head pop out, right? Because he hadn't had all his full injection. But I could carry him round, and as long as there's no other dogs around, so he's running around the office, and I'm shut, and Filthy Animal goes, "That's a bird puller, mate. That's a bird puller." And he was quite right. But yeah, and Johnny, like, Fast Eddie, actually, no, Fast Eddie. Now, you have to be a bit careful with Fast Eddie, because if Fast Eddie fucking lost his rag, you knew about it, right? He was the
yeah,
one to be, although he kind of looked like the least of them to be that way. But yeah, they were
yeah,
sweethearts, as was Johnny Violent. And I said, look, I've got this idea. I've always wanted to do this. It's a hardcore techno version of Jump by Van Halen, right? And I think I can get Wurzel, who'd left Motorhead, right? He was trying to get projects together, and none of them were really working. And I said, look, Wurzel, I've got this guy. He said he's up for it. It's going to be uh, hardcore techno. And as soon as I said that, I can see Wurzel going, version of Jump. But at the same time, Wurzel had been doing, again, he was doing these actually in his bedroom, recording them in his bedroom, but they were ambient tapes,
yeah,
of which I think he did actually release, whether they came out just as cassettes or on CD. But they were like, whoa, fucking, this is music to send you to sleep.
yeah,
This
yeah,
isn't melody. So I knew that, he wasn't above just thinking, oh no, hardcore techno is shite.
yeah,
And, anyway, it took a bit of persuading, and we get him into the studio. And John, as I say, Johnny never fucking used studios, but he'd booked a studio near where Wurzel lived in Islington. And I think he also booked a studio up in Nottingham where he played me what was the basic track, and I did the vocals, right? But we hadn't put the guitar on or anything, right? Uh, and he hadn't brought that with him, right? It's just he gets Wurzel in the studio. He says, uh, put some headphones on. He says, I'm going to play you a click track. You know what a click track is, like?
yeah,
He says, just play me a guitar solo in G. Right? And Wurzel's like, fuck off. I want to hear what. No, and he said, no, no, all I need is you know, in G. Just play, just play it in G. Uh, and Wurzel's, I can see he is not fucking happy. And he puts his fucking headphones on, and he sits down, right, with the guitar, and he starts off, and he's kind of diddling around. Yeah, I know the click tracks, and he's not going as fast as the click, and then suddenly he kind of clicks into the click track, and 18 minutes later, I've seen probably one of the best guitar solos I've ever seen in my life, which
Wow.
he's standing up and he's rocking out, and he actually comes to a proper end, and Johnny's like, brilliant, that's it, we've got it, we've got it. And Wells was like, no, 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 that's just no, we've got it, we've got it, we've got it, we've got it, right? So Johnny goes away to do his stuff. We're all actually really happy with what he does. We actually do write a track called Maximism, which is an original, which is on the B side. Um, and we get this record company called Safe Records, who are prepared to put it out. And at the time, I was designing uh, the tour programs for Monsters of Rock,
Yeah.
right? And this was '96, so I don't know who was here. I can't remember. I was probably the MC DJ as well. Uh, and I said to the company doing I said, what's the chance? How much will it cost me for a full page advert in the program for this WVK project? They said, you can have it for free. Now, we're talking about fucking several £1,000s worth of free advertising, right?
Yeah.
Seriously, a full page advert in a Monsters of Rock program. That's a lot of money. And they
Yeah.
said, and I said, what? A full page? It's yours. Do whatever. So I designed this fucking full page advert, and we're going to release it on the 9th of the 9th, 96. And I'm just thinking this is perfect because the 9th of the 9th of the 96, turn that upside down, that's 666. Anyway, the record company couldn't get it into the record shops until 2 weeks after that date that we, yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah. Ouch, yeah, dough, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
Oh,
it should have been a novelty hit. It is on YouTube.
yeah.
You can do it on YouTube. Um, but it should have been. I mean, I can't remember what the fuck were they called? Pigs, something pigs. They stole the idea and did something very similar and had a hit,
Yeah.
right? Can't remember what the fuck they were called. But I remember any
Well,
move.
I can't believe where the time's gone. Um,
Yeah,
I'm I'm
yeah.
only halfway through my material. We've not even got to modern times, so I will ask, what are you doing at the moment? What are your latest projects
My latest
apart from
project,
Stonedead?
my latest project is a new Krusher T-shirt, which I'm going to put bullseye on my original rock animal. Hang on, I can see if I can find it. Uh, but yeah, I've actually got to earn some money, which is a terrible thing.
Well, everybody should
Uh,
go out and buy your book for a start. That's on Amazon.
but yeah, but I honestly, 79.99. I Here we go. This is going to be my new. It's bullseye. Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Rock
Rock out.
Animal.
It's just got about four teeth left there,
Yeah, excellent.
and I've had about 40 pre-orders. I'm going to put it up. But what I normally try to do with my t-shirts is, well, with everything that I do, even the badges, right?
Yeah,
I think there were 1,000 of the I met Crusher, and all I got was a fucking badge. But that's it. I will never do any more. That's it.
yeah.
With the t-shirts, it varies. The most I ever did was 300, and I will. I if I can, I will sign them, right, and number them individually.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to wash out at some point, but when you get it, it is. I treat it as a piece of art.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's like a print. It's not just a T-shirt. It's a print, right?
Yeah.
So it's individually numbered, individually signed, and that's it. Once they've gone, right?
Yeah.
Until next design. Um, and people keep saying, "Oh, can you do more of it?" And it's like, no.
No,
The
that's
only
it.
one I'm thinking of possibly doing a redesign is the Crusher says "fuck cancer," and I have been thinking about doing it as a Ginger says "fuck cancer" and
Yeah.
see if he wants to do it. But I've been trying to call Ginger. He's not answering my calls, and
Yeah, I bet he's getting a lot though, a lot of
oh,
messages, and he'll
no.
be
And
inundated.
Ginger's Ginger, man. I've known Ginger since the Quiet Boys, and Ginger is fucking Ginger. He's
Yeah.
not the.
But I'm hopefully going to be on my own radio show in a few weeks for a local radio. It's volunteer. It'll be my
Good
first ever
man.
time
Good
doing
man.
radio, so I'll be a bit nervous, but I'll see how it goes, and
Don't be
hopefully,
nervous.
yeah,
Don't be nervous.
hopefully I can get the listeners and things. I'd love to do what you do, which is comparing on stage. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've watched you, and it'll be something I'd hopefully be able to do in future times. But I've
Well,
only, like I say, only been doing this a year, and I seem to be getting quite good at it.
mate, we've done almost an hour and a half, and I've really enjoyed it. And
Yeah.
and as you say, we haven't even touched the surface.
We haven't touched the surface, so I'm going to have to revisit this interview in a year time, and
Or,
then we can cover other things.
if you want in 6 months' time or whatever,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
But I've
But
got two questions left. One of them is from my editor, Glenn
are you
Milligan from.
editor?
I write for
Oh,
Metalliville online magazine, and I've got my own YouTube channel and Facebook and stuff, and all that social media crap. So yeah, Glenn Milligan from Metalliville Online Magazine. He asks quite a morbid question. Um, what would you put on your headstone?
he rocked hard, he rocked heavy, he rocked fucking animal. Full
I like
stop.
I like Spike Milligan's I told you I was ill.
Yes, yeah, yeah, but no, yeah, definitely no. I think he rocked hard, he rocked heavy, he rocked animal, and fuck, we didn't expect him to live this long.
Excellent. And my partner, my beautiful lady Tracy, her question, which I ask at the end of interviews, is tell us something about you that we don't know. And basically, your whole life seems to be an open book, but surely you've got something that we don't know.
Oh well, fuck, that's a good one. No, you don't know. Oh, no, oh no. Hang on. Wait a second. Wait a second. This isn't something to do with we won't know, but this is the someone bought me this. This is the WVK EAF single made into a clock, right? And that is it. Worth,
Excellent.
yeah, but something that you don't know.
Is there
Uh,
anybody who you've not interviewed that you really wanted to, who got away from you?
no, I don't. No, I don't think so. I think even if I've not interviewed them, I've talked to them,
Yeah,
socially. I mean, all the bloody Zeppelin and last time I met Robert Plant, as I was walking towards him, he goes, if he takes one more step towards me, I'm going to fucking floor him. But that's another, I'll tell you that story another time. But something, I was in the Boy Scouts
Was
for a
you?
week,
Is
for a
that
week,
that's like dib 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 and all that lot?
dib,
Yeah,
dib, dib, fucking, and
yeah.
then they threw me in the nettles. And I, yeah, no, I think I don't know. Fuck, that's a very good question. What the fuck? Everybody knows everything. Bill, well, I mean, one of the best, most lovely moments I remember when I was on that tour with the book was I, we're on the tour bus, which I'm sharing with Bill Ward, the drummer from Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
and both of us were early risers, right? And Bill go, "Want a cup of tea, Crusher?" And I'll have a cup. Bill, there you go, Bill Ward making you a cup of tea. I'll tell you another thing that you won't know is I got invited. Well, I designed Deep Purple's what was it, Perfect Strangers tour program, and got invited round to Ian Gillan's house
Yeah.
uh, with all of the bands there, apart from Richie Blackmore, to show them the roughs. Again, no computers. We're just going through the roughs. But Gillan is cooking us dinner. And I'm sat there. I've got John Lord here, and I'm 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 watching Gillan mashing potatoes, right? And I just turned to to John Lord. I said, "I saw you in September 1969, right? Uh, and with a band called Taste." And it was a mind altering gig, and never in a million years did I expect to sit here watching Ian Gillan mash potatoes. And he looks at me and goes, "There you go, dreams come true."
He could mash potato, but could he do the twist? That's the question, isn't it?
Hey,
You'll have a drink to that one.
I'm going to finish this for you, actually.
There you go.
Oh God,
Well,
bedtime.
thank you very much for your time. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm looking forward to meeting you at Stonedead Festival, and I'm sure we'll have another interview in 6 months' time to
You're very
cover the
welcome.
stuff which I've not talked about.
Very welcome, mate. Very welcome. Very
Yeah,
welcome. Thank you,
absolutely
Dave.
lovely.
You take care.
You take care of yourself and good luck with your t-shirt sales.
Thank you very much, mate.